Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're putting on our sports historian hats and throwing it back to the summer of 1998. We're looking at a World Cup defined by just monumental pressure, incredible architectural ambition, and honestly, some of the most shocking underdog triumphs in the history of the sport. Because the '98 World Cup in France wasn't just another tournament, it was a crucible. It literally tested the mettle of every single team involved.
So let's dive right into the core of this. What actually happens when the unstoppable force of a World Cup favorite meets the absolute, unyielding hope of an underdog? We're going to explore that incredible friction between the immense expectations placed on the host nation, France, and the absolute chaos unleashed by debutantes and massive underdogs during the group stages. It's a classic sports narrative, right? But played out on the biggest stage imaginable, where past reputations mean literally nothing and 90 minutes can change everything.
Section 1. Building the Grand Stud, the Architecture of Ambition.
To really grasp the immense pressure of this tournament, we first have to look at the physical manifestation of France's ambition. Before a single ball was even kicked, the host nation had to build the actual stage for this drama. France was awarded the World Cup in July 1992, and the proposed national stadium, what would become the legendary Stade de France, was a massive undertaking. It was pushed heavily by political heavyweights like Jacques Chirac and Edouard Balladur. But get this, construction didn't even begin until December 1995 in Saint-Denis. That meant it was a rapid, 26-month race against time, finishing up in November 1997. Just imagine the sheer national anxiety of getting this mammoth structure ready for the eyes of the world.
And the numbers behind it? They're staggering. It cost 2.67 billion francs, built to safely seat 80,000 screaming fans. This massive arena physically represented the monumental expectations placed squarely on the shoulders of the French national team. Every single ounce of steel and concrete was basically a reminder to those players. The nation built this for you, so now you have to win it. Section 2. The host nation's pressure, flawless execution.
So with this grand stage custom built for them, how do you perform when your entire country expects flawless execution? Well, if you're France, you completely sweep your group. The hosts were just brilliantly clinical in Group C. 3 straight wins, scoring 9 goals and conceding only 1 to finish with a perfect 9 points. They effortlessly navigated past Denmark, debutant South Africa, and Saudi Arabia to march into the knockout stage. They took all that national pressure, all the weight of the Stade de France, and channeled it into perfect, ruthless football. But this sets up a fascinating juxtaposition for the rest of the tournament. On one hand, you have these top-seeded giants carrying immense national pressure to dominate and justify their historical pedigree. But then, on the other hand, you have the underdogs and the debutantes. These are teams with absolutely nothing to lose, just fighting tooth and nail for a miracle. And if we contrast the clinical, perfect run of the French hosts with the rest of the group stages, we see a wild shifting of the footballing tectonic plates.
Section 3. The underdog journeys, miracles, in Group A. Let's move over to the absolute chaos of those underdog journeys, starting with Group A. Defending champions, the mighty Brazil, going up against an unyielding Norwegian squad. Picture the scene. It's the final match of the group stage for these two. We're heading into the 83rd minute, and Brazil leads 1-0. Norway is staring directly at the exit door. The heavyweights seem to have done exactly what heavyweights do, right? Grind out a result to secure the top spot. But this is the '98 World Cup, and logic is about to get thrown completely out the window. In a frantic micro-narrative of pure, unbelievable determination, everything flips. First, Norway miraculously overcomes the deficit, equalizing with just 7 minutes left. And then, the unimaginable happens. Ketil Rekdal steps up and buries the winning penalty. Norway defeats Brazil 2-1. They scored twice in the dying moments to secure their first ever knockout stage appearance and just stun the globe. It's exactly the kind of underdog miracle that defines the beautiful game. And that wasn't an isolated incident. Across the tournament, we saw other incredible underdog stories brewing that defied all statistical logic. Take Nigeria. They entered the 1998 World Cup, ranked an astonishing 74th in the world by FIFA. 74th. On paper, nobody expects a 74th ranked team to survive their group, let alone make history. Section 4. Giants fall in the groups. The shock of Group D. Well, Nigeria's low pre-tournament ranking didn't matter one bit when they actually stepped onto the pitch. Group D produced one of the most stunning upsets and chaotic outcomes we've ever seen, proving that those FIFA rankings offer absolutely zero protection.
Top-seeded Spain, a massive historical footballing giant, was sent packing incredibly early, finishing third with 4 points. Instead, it was Nigeria, that 74th-ranked team, who won the group with 6 points, while Paraguay claimed second. Spain and Bulgaria were out. It was a literal earthquake in the football world.
So how exactly does a giant fall? It started with Spain suffering a dramatic 3-2 opening loss to Nigeria. That completely set the tone. It showed everyone that the giants bleed. Spain then faltered again, managing only a 0-0 draw with Paraguay. By the time they finally found their groove with a massive 6-1 win over Bulgaria in their final match, the math was already against them. It wasn't enough to save them. The underdogs had stolen the show and already locked up the advancing spots.
Section 5. A historic group stage, changing the tournament forever.
Now, why was this specific group stage so historic and full of surprises? A huge part of it was the new structure of the tournament itself, which fundamentally altered the whole landscape of the competition. For the very first time in '98, FIFA expanded the group stage from 24 up to 32 teams. It became the longest World Cup ever held at that point, spanning 32 days. And crucially, this expansion meant 4 nations got to make their debut: Croatia, Jamaica, Japan, and South Africa. This injected a fresh, highly chaotic, and completely unpredictable energy into the mix. More teams meant more styles of play, way more unknown quantities, and naturally, way more opportunities for massive upsets.
Which brings us right back to our initial thesis. What actually happens when the unstoppable force of a World Cup favorite meets the unyielding hope of an underdog? Well, the 1998 group stage proved definitively that history and pedigree are just context. When that whistle blows, hope, sheer determination, and momentum can rewrite the script entirely.
As we wrap up our look back at the flawless, clinical execution of the host nation France under unimaginable pressure, and contrast that with the wild, totally logic-defying triumphs of teams like Norway and Nigeria, I want to leave you to ponder this. Does the immense pressure of the World Cup forge champions out of hosts, or does it simply shatter the favorites to make way for the underdogs? Thank you for exploring the crucible of '98 with me. Keep questioning the history of the beautiful game.